You're listening to Living in Spain podcasts with David Wright.
Okay, so hi, good morning, everybody. Today I'm with John Towell. He's a barrister from the UK. He's got a business here in Spain, helping British people with all their needs here in Spain. So hi, good morning, John.
Good morning.
And just a little bit, whereabouts are you today, John?
I'm actually today Benalmádena Costa, overcast Benalmádena Costa.
Yeah, it pretty much is everywhere in Spain at the moment, horrendous weather. So, John, where are you from originally in the UK?
I'm originally from near York.
New York. And what made you move to Spain?
I always say I'm a climate refugee.
Yeah.
I'd love to give another reason, but climate.
Yeah, somebody said to me the other day, I put a post out about the weather, and they say, well, it's not always about the weather. And I said, people that don't live in Spain normally say that. You can't really say that today, but yeah, even with the bad weather today,
I've got a place up in the mountains in the Alpujarras, and this is just the worst weather for like 7 years.
Yeah. I've not known it rain consistently like this, and with the red rain as well. It's been a nightmare with my pool here. It's been 3 days cleaning it out, and now it's gone cloudy again. So I don't know. I'll give up a little while.
I'm just looking over at the pool now, thinking, "Oh, I'm not doing it."
Yeah. So John, tell us a little bit about your business. What is it you do here in Spain, and how are your services helping British people?
Well, I work for a firm called Just Law Solicitors, which is a trading name. The original firm is called Ayostalix Abogados, but that's just the original name. It's called Just Law Solicitors. It was established in 1992. I've been here about 5 years. We have offices in Marbella, Fuengirola, Málaga, and basically we tried just to be the same as a high street solicitors firm in the UK. Everybody speaks English. We don't close for siesta, and we deal with a wide range of issues. You know, anything from an NIE number to a month-long court case and everything in between: residency, property purchases, anything you would need for moving to Spain. We would just be a one-stop shop. And in addition, which is slightly unusual, we have one of our lawyers has a master's degree in tax, and we also have a qualified accountant, which we got them from KPMG and PricewaterhouseCoopers. So we've tried to go that bit further to help everybody with everything, hopefully.
Yeah, so you're covering the things that British people need when they first move here, like their NIEs, their tax, residency, stuff like that, which is what we all need to go through.
We do. Because people don't understand when they first come, they go to a lawyer and the lawyer says, well, you need to go to a hair store. And I said, no. We need to do everything. You know, even though it's not usual, we need to do everything. And we need to open from 9 till 5 as well. And that's a thing. That's what we do now.
Yeah, it's unusual what you say, that most of the solicitors here or lawyers and firms dealing what you deal with, they shut for siesta. And that is a big problem for most British people. I know it is for me, and it's something I've always found hard to get over. It's something I've never done when I run my building business here. I always worked through and decided to finish at 5 and go home, and that was the end of the day. Going back to work after lunch at 4 or 5 o'clock to work to 8 o'clock, for me, it's a no.
I mean, when I interview new lawyers, and I say to them, you'll be on Fuengirola Beach at 5:10. I think they're quite happy. I think it's
yeah. So, John, I mean, when I first moved to Spain, I was recommended a solicitor that I didn't know at the time, but to deal with my NIE, I thought I needed a solicitor for that, which is what I did. And I found out later that they did my tax, my accountancy, my NIE number, and my social security for setting up as autonomo here. So I was lucky that I was introduced to somebody that was pretty good. It was a bit of a risk because I was just going by recommendations, but recommendations are really the best way, because there are so many people out there, like you say, they don't do everything. They might be a specialist in one thing and another, and you end up taking paperwork to one and going to somebody else to set up your paperwork for your wills and things like that. It can be really complicated, but getting somebody to do everything For me personally, I was a little bit lucky that the company I went with did it all, and it was very convenient for me to just give them the paperwork and they did everything. It was great. I think I would recommend that to people, and it is more convenient. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously we're the first people to tell people, everything that we do, people can do it themselves. We're the first people to say, look, you don't need a lawyer. We're not trying to say that we have some sort of exclusive right to the work. We say, if you want a lawyer, we can do everything. But yeah, I mean, and recommendations are very good. Find someone who's actually used the firm. Look on things like Google reviews, LinkedIn. Our senior lawyer, Marisa, she's been a lawyer for 30 years. She's also the Danish consul. She's been the director of the Málaga Bar Association. She's you can see, who's going to be legitimate. And we've got so many lawyers. It doesn't matter if your lawyer's gone on a holiday for 2 weeks. We've got other people. We have the continuity of service.
Yeah, I have noticed with some people that have contacted me and saying, well, even a few days ago, I had a lady contact me and saying that, their solicitor is dealing with their NRE is taking weeks and weeks and they haven't heard back from them, and they're on holiday now and they've got to wait till the end of next week and things like that. And, does it take this long? Is this normal? And I said, well, where did you get these people from? Well, they were in the village where we saw them then. And I said, well, that's the trouble. And I always say it's a recommendation from somebody that's been through the services, and that's why what I'm doing at the moment with you and other companies like yourself, I'm recommending people that I know and I speak to weekly, like I do with you, that have helped me, like you have helped me in the past, and then I can recommend them and I know their services. There is so many people on Facebook saying, can you recommend somebody do my will? Well, there's hundreds of people who can do your will, but as I know from some people, friends of mine even that here, they've gone to somebody, I did my will and it was only 45 euros and things like that. I did mine myself a little while ago. It was only 48 euros and did it in an hour. That's fine. But I speak Spanish and I knew what I wanted.
Yeah, I mean,
I know the system. But
we wrote an article on our blog and we said, look, we're the first people to tell you don't need a lawyer to do a will. You can download something and you can go direct to the notary. And but we can give you the advice on the international jurisdictions. If you're English, should it be here? What, the various tax advice, which could save the beneficiaries a lot of money. But we're the first to say, no, you can go direct to the notary if you want.
Yeah, I mean, look, people don't like paying more than they have to for anything. British are like that, we all are. But I personally, I paid a lot of money for people to do it all for me, but I didn't speak Spanish at that time and I didn't know what I was doing and I wanted it done right. And somebody said to me, just get it done properly by a professional and you won't have any comeback. And 19 years later, everything's all in place, all my social security and payments and tax, everything. I can sleep at night. I know so many people that have got problems with one thing and another, and it's not all in the same place. So it creates problems. And it's hard to get this over to people that, pay a little bit more from somebody to do it right. And it's not more expensive in the long run. It ends up working out to be cheaper. You're not paying for it twice.
Well, subjectively, from a lawyer's point of view, it's better if somebody else has messed it up because there's more fees to put it right,
Yeah.
But so if you're going to do it, like you say, do it right the first time, yeah.
But the other thing, John, as well, I know at least 2 or 3 people in the group, in my Facebook group, that were waiting for their solicitors to do the paperwork for their residency before Christmas. They were stuck in the UK because of the virus and everything. The solicitors dragged their heels and they missed the deadline. They did miss the deadline and one of the solicitors said, we were waiting for you to call us. And the people in the UK said, well, we were waiting for you to get back to us. And it just lack of communication, and they lost the possibility of their residency, which was a nightmare.
I have to say that during COVID, with the time limit approaching for Brexit, the post-Brexit period, we were really busy, really busy.
Yeah.
We were expecting to do nothing. We thought, it's not the best thing in the world, but we were really busy with people, getting into under the deadline.
Yeah, everything's online now. And you, as you say yourself, you you don't, it doesn't matter where you need to be in Spain. You can deal with people from all over the world. So if someone's moving to the north of Spain, you can still help them, can't you?
Oh yeah, we can do. We could. Yeah, I mean, we of course advise against it, but there's some people who've never seen a property and they want to buy it, or perhaps they've seen it a year ago and they want to buy it, and we can do it by power of attorney. But we always say to people, if you've never seen it, look, we advise against this. But if you really want us to do it, yeah, we'll do a power of attorney, and we can buy the property for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, John, regarding British people, what sort of things do you think they're a little bit careless on, a bit slow on the upkeep, or don't do properly? What sort of problems do you find?
I think one of the things is, like you said at the start, do your research and find the right person. For example, we include, if someone buys a property with us, we include the NIE number, we include the first year's non-residence taxes done by a qualified tax specialist, we change the suppliers, and we open a bank account for them. We do that. Again, like England, you don't need a lawyer to buy a property. I mean, you don't, but obviously we advise you do. And a lot of people, the agent will say to them, you don't need a lawyer, which is right, but there can be problems. I mean, one thing happened this week is Marisa told me a story this week, so I'm getting this secondhand, and lawyers and hearsay. But we never ever have people just knock on the door. I think the second time in 30 years somebody knocked on the door, and it was not an English couple, and they were buying a property, and they said, can you help? And Marisa said, well, yeah, come in, and they said, oh, the agent has told us to sign, but we weren't sure. And she could check online straight away, and there was a €15,000 embargo on that property, and obviously the debts transfer with the property. So, we can resolve that now. But just take independent advice. And when you find your lawyer, get the lawyer's practicing number, and then you contact the Bar Association and you say, is this lawyer able to practice in Spain? And if the Bar Association says yes, that means if something goes wrong, the Bar Association pick up the bill for the insurance.
Yeah, because there's different categories of lawyers here in Spain, isn't there? I mean, well, not lawyers, but I mean, a gestoria and a lawyer, abrogado. There are some differences.
Gestor. I mean, I don't. Gestor is perhaps a creation of the Spanish bureaucracy, but I think that's a whole other interview, isn't it? And the Gestor studies for give or take a year, and they belong to the Association of Gestors, and they do certain things. And a lawyer studies for give or take 7 years, so you can see the difference in the expertise and the speciality. But we try and include everything, the whole thing. But a Gestor, I think it's right to say, isn't a lawyer.
Yeah, I understand. I like you said the other day, I bought and sold several properties here, and one of the properties I was going to buy to knock down and build a house before I built the house where I am now. It was an old house, and the estate agent, not all estate agents are like this, but the estate agent told me there was no problem, everything was fine. They want their commission. The owner was keen to sell. She was an older lady, Spanish lady, and there was an outbuilding at the back of this property. I didn't worry about it because I was going to knock it all down anyway, and I was building my new house here. So, and I just was advised several years ago by a solicitor friend of mine that I could myself go to the planning registry office at the town hall and ask them. It's free service. They don't speak English, so you need to speak Spanish. So I did. I went to them, and I got friendly with this guy, and I said, we're thinking about buying this property. Got the plot number. And he looked it up in his book and found that there was no permission for the outbuildings, and the wall that they had around the property wasn't on his paperwork. And he said, but, maybe the owner's got that and they haven't registered it with us yet, but you want to check that before you buy. So I went back to the agent and asked them, oh, yeah, don't worry about that. We can do that at the notary. You just pay a small fine if it's an illegal build. It's not like that here in Spain. You can't do that anymore. Those days are gone, So I went back to a lawyer friend of mine. And I said, this is not right, is it? We want to knock it down anyway. He said, it doesn't matter. He said that's illegal. You could have a problem at the notary. And by that time, I would have already paid a €2,500 deposit on the property, which if I pulled out, I would lose. So, I would have been in the hole for at least $2,500 or something. and it wouldn't have been my fault. Now the agent and the owner is all keen to sell. They want it to go through, because once that's done, that's done. So just by doing my checks, I saved myself £2,500, and that's something I learned from a solicitor friend of mine. So things like that, when you think, oh, it's okay, buying property here, there are some minefields, especially on older properties, because a lot of the Spanish people have done things that they shouldn't, should we say, or haven't got registered. And so, doing the checks like with a solicitor or something like that can save you a lot of money in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, my place up in the Alpujarras, my nearest neighbours were a good distance away, and they're English. And I was talking to them one day, and I said, "Oh, why do you live in a caravan?" Where I had some time ready for the answer, because I knew it was going to be a can of worms. And they said, "Oh, the estate agent told us we could renovate that ruin over there," and they pointed to a ruin, and no, they couldn't.
Yeah.
So they're living in a caravan.
Yeah, very difficult. Yeah, there's some strange laws and regulations here that British people. I don't understand what it is, because when I bought and sold property in the UK, you go to a solicitor and you get proper advice.
I sold my mother's house a couple of weeks ago, and I used a solicitor in the UK, and I'm a lawyer,
But I know so many people here that just go to the estate agent. Oh, we do it all for you. We do that, and a lot of it is pot luck, to be honest. And they can be lucky, but I do hear some horror stories, and it's too late then down the road, and people have their dreams dashed. So
a lot of the horror stories emerge when they then come to sell their property.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not legal. There's no occupation license. The boundary's wrong. The swimming pool's not registered. There's lots of things that come out sometimes at the end.
Yeah. The boundary laws here are very strange. Even on my property that I bought here, the land, it was marked out by the planning officer and everything, but it was 1 meter out of line from what they had registered with the what they call it now, where you register the land.
Cadastral?
The cadastral. Yeah, it was 1 meter out.
Yeah.
So, and I said, my wall that I built at the front of my house was in the straight. There's a street there. So I said, well, technically my wall is 1 meter out. And he went, yeah. So I said, so I could push my garden 1 meter into the middle of the road. And he went, well, technically, yeah, you could. He said, but I wouldn't do that. You'd upset the council. But there's things like that are not quite right. So we got an amendment to the paperwork with it on paper, and they took a GPS reading of the plot of land with his satellite equipment, so you have to be careful here, because even when they mark it out properly, it's still not right. So a good loyal solicitor is worth his weight in gold, I always say so.
And in the old places in the countryside, I should have looked this up, but there was a unit of measurement, and it's based on how much one person can work in one day. So, and it begins with a C. Someone will be able to comment and tell me what it is. But then it moved to physically measuring it, and then it moved to, as you said, the satellite to measure it. So my place, it varies which document you look at. It varies how many meters it is, even though everybody knows where the boundary is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing as well here, where I live, it's all new properties within the last 10 years. And because they started at the top of the road and building down, they're all individual houses. Each person's put his wall on the boundary, but by the time it gets to the end of the street, the wall is 400 wide, 400 millimeters wide. So by the time you get to the end, each person has robbed 400 of the other person's property. So they've gone all the way down the end of the street. It's all done correctly, but when you work it out, the last house is missing about 2 meters of property. So what those council have done is they moved the road a little bit to allow for that, So it's a bit of a nightmare. It's a minefield that you need proper legal advice on.
I've acted for clients who built property from scratch. And before I built my own property from scratch, right near the national park. You couldn't get any nearer. Luckily, it went all right in Casabonana. It was in near Málaga. Yeah.
So, John, what would you say is it a better life here for you? Your office work
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm one of the few people who sort of benefited from COVID, because if I have a practice in the UK, going backwards and forwards, and I think it's brought this video technology has moved forward. So for me personally, I have a much better life. Yeah, it'd be nice if we had things on the shelves in the shops.
Yeah, well, you've got a shortage of stuff, have you? We haven't noticed that here at the moment.
Well, I think here in Malaga, certain things you can't get because of the strike. But yeah, but on the whole, we're here. It's a much better lifestyle. There's the red tape, isn't there? But everything else is much easier.
Yeah, and once this rain clears up, we'll be back to a normal summer, hopefully, because I think it was last year we had 7 days of rain, but not continuously, and that is in the whole year in Almeria. I mean,
yeah, you have the best weather in Spain, don't you, in Almeria? That's the best weather,
I mean, it's desert weather. It really is. And too hot sometimes in the summer, but you get used to it, don't you, after a while? And I'm getting used to it here now, but I'd rather have that than working in the wind and the rain like I used to in the UK. But they've got some pretty good weather at the moment, apparently, according to
look, and I think it's better in York than it is in Benalmádena Costa. But yeah.
So, John, if people want to get in touch with you, I'll leave a link to your business in the description box. And one other thing, a lot of people are quite interested in video conferencing now, like this. Is that something that you would personally offer to people?
We have this lovely big conference room. Hardly ever use it. It's all video nowadays. Yeah.
Because personally, I always feel it good to talk to somebody. You can learn a lot from somebody by face-to-face or video-to-video meeting. It just gives that little bit better rapport with somebody. And a lot of my members on the group like to speak to somebody and see who they're talking to in real time. So they're quite able to do a video call with you.
We do that much more than people actually come in to the office. Like I say, we have this big conference room. We don't use it much now.
Brilliant. Okay, well, great. Well, thanks very much for talking to us today, John. And I'll leave a link to your business. If anyone want to get in touch with John, there'll be a link to John's business below this and a link to me as well. So come and join us and come and ask some questions and have a face-to-face chat with John and get the proof you need and the proper advice from experts. So thanks very much, John, for joining us today. Thank
you for having me. Bye.
Cheers.
If you have enjoyed this podcast by David Wright, then you will love his new books. Out now on Amazon and Kindle, packed with money-saving tips and information on living and working in Spain. Just go to livinginspainbooks.com. David also has a popular blog for expats in Spain. Come and take a look now at britishexpatsinspain.com.